Hello everybody, welcome to Crafty Soup. My name is Misty. Today's episode is all about taking a card design and scrap lifting that to turn it into a layout. If you watched my video on Wednesday, I did the unboxing of the SCT Kit, which is that pile of supplies there, and I created this card as a project with those supplies. And then I decided that I wanted to really do a layout. So in that process, I decided to go ahead and scrap lift that card design and turn it into a layout for today's video. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. I have these two photos that were taken around my daughter's birthday, and she wrote her age in the snow. And since the card I made was a birthday card, I decided not only to scrap lift the design, but also the theme. So here I am. The card has a base of 2 layers of pattern paper. So I'm going to create that base here with this darker layer and this green layer. Now a lot of these supplies that I'm using are summer themed. And if you've seen my videos before, you know that I don't always feel restricted by the theme of patterns. And here in this case with this floral, I did not want the florals to show up, but I wanted some of that color and texture that that paper could provide. So I used that as a photo mat with just a smidgen of the edge showing. And that gives me the look that I'm going for. And then part of that card design was a long tag that holds all the elements together. So I created a tag out of this leafy print that is a green and yellow print, and it is mellow enough that it could work for a winter layout. And I'm going to go ahead and use my We Are Memory Keepers hole reinforcer punch, which I bought recently, and I've been really loving making tags lately, and so that tool has come in super handy. I'm going to go ahead and finish off that tag, but notice it's still not long enough for this layout, so I will expand that tag later as we get to that. So here is where I've decided that that photo should just be matted with that little bit, and that's going to help pull in all the other colors from other elements that I have on this page together, because that photo mat has most of those colors. And I've cut down one of my other photos to be much smaller so that just the number in the snow shows up. And that's where I expanded that tag so that it will span from top to bottom on this layout. And I go ahead and pull out my alphabets, which I cut out of foam, and create my title. And then in the kit of supplies from SCT, there was this numbered die set, and I really wasn't sure what I was going to do with the numbered die set. But it's great for ages for either birthday cards or, in this case, a birthday layout. So I'm going to go ahead and use the number 19 repetitively as part of my embellishment clusters. Now in my card, I did have 3 very small embellishment zones. I wouldn't even call them clusters because they were so small. So I'm going to repeat that here, and each zone's going to have a little bit of a circular element to it, and then the number 19, and then 1 or 2 other little tidbits. And I'm keeping all of those pieces very mild in color so that they don't really catch your attention as much. I really want the focus to be on the title and the photos, and then a little bit of journaling. So I am cutting down various elements. Even though these little square bits were cut apart squares, I'm going to use my punch and turn them into circles. And now I decided I wanted to repeat the tag element, and some of the other cut aparts had rounded tags, and I've never done a rounded tag before, so I decided to use the circle punch that I had to go ahead and give myself a little template. And then I will trim a little piece of pattern paper down to create a rounded tag. Now notice that I have my daughter in that photo. It's pretty hard to see at this point, but I did place her on a strong vertical line so that the eye is kind of drawn down towards her, and I did emphasize that more with a little embellishment that is actually a house. But I realized when I turned it upside down, it looked more like an arrow with just some decoration on it. That was like the windows of the house. And so I went ahead and put it on my layout upside down, and it looks more like an arrow. So that helps draw the attention to her in the photo, because these photos are not great. They were taken on a very cloudy day near sunset, and they're just not great. So those are some of the ways that I help emphasize the important bits of photos that are less than stellar. And honestly, a lot of my photos are less than stellar. So I go ahead and give myself some journaling lines. I did want them to stay kind of narrow so they didn't reach all the way to the edge of this layout because I wanted to maintain that strong kind of column look that I had in the card. And I'm using a gray journaling pen. Usually I will use black, but I was using gray today, and I gave myself a border to my layout, finished my journaling, and used a gray ink for those journaling lines. So here is the card side by side with the layout, so you can see how all of those elements pulled together. The center part of my layout has my title and photos, and the center part of my card had my greeting. And so I've got my little embellishments going on, my strong vertical tag going on. So you can easily adapt from scrapbook, sketch layouts, to cards and vice versa, from cards back to scrapbooks. Thank you for joining me today. If you got something helpful out of this video, I would really appreciate you giving it a like because that does help my channel. And I will be back on Saturday with a back to school hop that is sponsored by Sarah Scraps, and there are 30 crafters participating, so there will be a lot of inspiration. I hope to see you then.